I know you've been dying to talk some aliens, so with that, I'm going to leave the floor to you, my good friend.
Yeah, so first off, I'd like to say that I was um I was talking to, dating, whatever you want to call it, a girl. This was years ago, and I was hanging out at her house, and she had actually just like crushed me in Mario Kart, and I was like trying to win. This is
You
bad.
always had a weak Mario Kart game, but that's
I
neither here
was,
nor there.
yeah, I'll admit it, but I was good at sports. Um, so she had just got through like crushing me in Mario Kart, and we were just hanging out, just talking about random stuff. And I don't know how the topic came up, but basically, at that time, I was she was she was just like, "Wait, are you saying you don't believe in aliens?" And she was like the queen of sarcasm. Like she was super funny. So I didn't really know if she was serious or not. I'm like, "Bet, come on, come on, like." Really, you actually believe that? And this is like 2013. Okay, this is a long time ago.
Okay.
Um, and she was like, "Yeah, are you saying you don't? Because honestly, you just became unattractive to me if you don't believe it real." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Are
That's
you
harsh.
serious?" Yeah, she was dead serious, and she had her reasonings. I was in total denial, and now as I've gotten older and wiser, so obviously she was wise amongst for her
One of those,
age.
one of those old souls.
Yeah, she was. She was. Shout out to her. She knows who she is if she ever hears this. Um, yeah, awesome girl. But um, anyway, now, I mean, come on. If you're denying this, number one, and she may have even put it to me like this. It's like, how selfish are we to think that in the entire galaxy we are the only beings, right? The
Heck
only
with
form
Galaxy, the universe.
universe. Well, I was just going galaxy, the universe.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Come
enough
on.
in the galaxy. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. I mean, it's infinite. Like how can we be well, we're the best. It's like, are you kidding me? Have you seen the United States right now and what we're doing to people? Like people are willing to fight people in a Walmart just because they want to put a mask on. You're thinking that we're like the ultimate beings. We're like, no, no.
We're top of the food chain, baby.
Yeah, yeah. We're not the most intelligent beings because there's definitely other life forms out there. There has to be. There has to be. So it was kind of put to me that way. It's like, how could you be so selfish to think that we're the only people that exist or the only beings that exist, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it's a numbers game at the end of the day. It's like, really, come on. It wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense.
That's kind of the way I view it as well. Like, especially with how many different species we have on Earth. We're one planet, we're in our small solar system. We used to think that the Earth was the center of our solar system and everything revolved around us, going back to your whole, how selfish are we? So, then, taking a step back, we realize that we're actually revolving around the sun, and then our sun is just one of millions or billions of suns within our galaxy. And then our galaxy is one of not only but only one of billions and billions of galaxies within the universe.
Billions and billions and
So yeah, no, I mean, looking at the numbers, it's just to me it seems like an inevitability.
right,
Yeah.
totally. And
So what took you from not agreeing with her to coming around to where you're at now?
I think it's funny because there was something that happened to me when I was when I was really young that I'll get to, because now looking back, it's like, because there's so many people that think that aliens have been amongst us among us for many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leading back, to the crash in Roswell, New Mexico, where there were flying saucers or unidentified aircraft that was recovered. And now we're to the point where the Pentagon, I love it too, because it's really, if you think about it strategically, this is the perfect time to release the fact that aliens are real. Because like I like to think of things in like the simplest of ways when I explain it to people. It's like, guys, look at the state of the United States right now and other countries. And other countries are starting to do a lot better in dealing with coronavirus, right? It's like, look at the state of the United States. This is classic, like smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
This is classic, like, hey, look over here, look over here. Look at all these numbers. People are dying every day from coronavirus. If you don't wear your mask, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. By the way, aliens are real. So anyway, back to the mask. Aliens are real. So anyway, Trump and Biden in this election, it's crazy. Trump's a creep, but Biden's a creep, but aliens are real. It's like it's the perfect time. Like, the people in the Pentagon are smart. They are smart people. So I think the timing is impeccable to release videos that have already been released or leaked, right? But now the Pentagon has come out and confirmed. Furthermore, they've went on to say that they have in their possession unworld-like vehicles, right? Out of this world, not like this world, right?
Otherworldly.
Otherworldly, yes. Sorry, I couldn't remember the exact quote, and I'm sure we'll put the article up here. I've got it. So, but
yeah, I know you've got it pulled up. Why don't you go ahead and show us what you're talking about, and we can kind of talk through it here.
Yeah. So this is a video of a United States Navy pilot, and this guy. Let's go ahead and play this guy right here. So yeah, this is what this pilot in the U.S. Navy. This is from his radar, his cam. You can see he's switching back and forth, trying to just figure out what in the heck he is looking at here, and what in the heck, or like, what are we seeing? And I remember him saying, there was no jet propulsion, there was no exhaust, there was no anything. And I mean, look at the movements that thing is making. Now, here's another video. This one's crazy. Look at that.
Yeah.
And this one, I would love everyone to look up this one and get the audio, because the guy who is like the navigator, look, that's when he locks on and he's screaming. He's like, whoa, I got it, baby. Hell yeah. He's going nuts because, it's like a ripple effect of all like the talk around, oh my goodness, like, different pilots are saying, well, I saw this, well, I saw that, well, I saw this. Well, now all of a sudden, this particular two-man aircraft, they're getting the chance to track and lock on, and he locked on, man. That's wild. That was absolutely wild to see. And again, here's another one, and it's just absolutely amazing to me that now the Pentagon is confirming, yes, these videos that were leaked years ago. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen these before, but they are in fact real. And they're starting to release more and more information about the reports, different vehicles they recovered, things of that nature. So I just thought that to be a big one there. I mean, come on, the Pentagon's coming out. Number one, if you ever have the time to go and check out the interviews of this pilot, you can tell he's such a smart guy. He's not into the whole alien craze, and he's not wearing the little, what are they,
tinfoil hat,
the tinfoil hats. Yeah, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
He just had this crazy experience, and he wanted to share it because, and you'll even hear him say too, like it's like, man, I don't know what that was, but it was not from this planet. And
I wish I could remember what that guy's name was, because I know he did a full podcast with Joe Rogan where they talked about this. And that was even before this was officially released from the Pentagon. So I remember
Right.
watching those and being like, okay, is this some kind of BS doctored garbage? But then when the Pentagon actually released it, it's like, wait, that was legit? Like, wait, hold on a second. Because
Right.
he talks about how, kind of like you mentioned, you can't identify a particular exhaust generally that's why he was flipping back to the different types of views. He was
Mm-hmm.
looking for some kind of heat or chemical signature coming from the craft
Mm-hmm.
as some kind of propulsion device. And they never identified anything that, was coming off of it that would have been that. And then just the maneuvers they did in terms of being able to change directions and go up and down and go from not moving to boom, hundreds of miles showing up in the other direction. Hearing yeah, like just like you said, the guy is a legit U.S. I forget if it was a Navy or Air Force, but
It
he's
was
a
Navy.
pilot. He's
Mm-hmm.
got no kind of crazy stuff on his record, and hearing him trying to explain these things, it's like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
what's going on here, man?
Yeah, and he was kind of geeking out about it. I mean, you could tell he was just overall, he was thrilled. He was so excited because he knew that, like, for whatever reason, he was the one. You know, he was the one that got to do that at that particular moment in his lifetime. I'm sure these pilots have seen things that have been a little off or a little suspect in the past. Even commercial airline pilots, I'm sure that they've seen some things that other people are just never going to see in their lifetime. But seeing that, experiencing that, seeing it just, and I don't know exactly how fast they were going. He says it in the interview again, but there's like 100 and something knots, right? I don't know how they I think it's knots, right? Is it knots? I don't know, man. Who cares? Who cares? All right.
It goes really
Anyway,
fast. It goes from not
really,
going fast to going really, really, really fast.
well, he was talking about his speed, and basically he was explaining how, like, it is very difficult just for him to maintain that speed to track him when it's just cruising along. So if it's taking everything in him and that powerful of a jet to just stay with him, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. Like, whoa, that's enough to, like, freak you the hell out. I think. I mean, think of it in a way of, like, anytime you see like a foreign, like, sports car, like a Lamborghini or something, you see it on the road, and all of a sudden, boom, you're like, whoa, that ain't no regular car.
Yeah, right.
you know. Uh,
Like an Indy
but
car versus my Camry or something like that.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, kind of crazy, but um, again, it just there's too many fishy things going on, and also, Will Smith, he saw him up close and personal in the real life movie Independence Day that actually took place.
There's so
Jeff
I love
Goldblum broke the code.
I read a book. It was called like The Science of Star Trek, but it wasn't just
Hmm.
about Star Trek. It was about like movies and going over like Independence Day. They talked about like the scene where the alien ship hovers over the White House and beams down and just blows it all up.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, basically, a ship that size would have altered the Earth's gravitational pull because of its mass and its density, to where if it would have got that close to the Earth, it would have thrown off our gravitational uh, trajectory, and like everybody on Earth would have died instantly. They wouldn't have need to fire a single weapon. Just the presence of something that big would have killed
Huh.
everybody on the planet.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's a super interesting book. He actually wrote a sequel to it. Uh, I loved that thing. I went in a big alien craze kind of end of college and the couple years after that. Um, but yeah, I mean, people talk about how, there's more information coming out and they're kind of trying to hide it in plain sight. So there's
Hmm.
one guy that's famous for being an alien theorist, I guess you could say.
Ancient. What's this?
Ancient astronaut theorist.
Ancient astronaut theorist. That's right. If you drink every time he says that on the show, you're hammered.
Shout out to Ancient Aliens. I love that show. I can't believe it's had
Love that
10
show.
plus seasons now. Actually went back. Well, let me wrap that up. He talked about, actually, he's one of the commentators on that show. I forget what his name is. It's not Graham Hancock, but he kind of looks similar. He talks about the show Stargate SG-1. and says that that pretty much is how it works. There's these kind of stargates that connect different points in the universe, and you can, I don't know if it's wormhole technology or what, but more or less instantly travel these vast distances that would take lifetimes upon lifetimes to travel through normal means. Um, I went back to watch. So we were watching this movie with Kevin Bacon on Netflix. The name is failing me right now, but basically this kid takes these stones from the Grand Canyon, and they turned out to be like cursed with this alien life form technology, and it ends up haunting their family. But it's about the Anasazi Indians. It was the origin of
Mm.
it. And so I was telling Anne, hey, there's a really cool episode on the Anasazi on ancient aliens. And basically, it's a group of people that lived in the Grand Canyon region. And they are kind of famous for their cave drawings. And they used to do their dwellings inside of caves and, carved into mountainsides and things like that. But a lot of the pictures are kind of look like space people. And one day the entire culture just vanished. And
Whoa.
mainstream archaeologists might say that they were wiped out by settlers, American settlers moving west, and probably committed a genocide on them. But there are alternative theories that in their wall caves there is a Stargate portal, and a traveler from another universe, or not another galaxy, essentially showed up. That's why they have all these pictures that kind of look like space beings, and then took them back through the Stargate, and boom, that's why they up and vanished out of nowhere. So I mean, I
Man.
take everything on that show with a grain of salt. I watch it for the entertainment value because I think it's just fun, and I like to learn about like historical references and different cultures and things through shows like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no other possible way. There's no way you can tell me that the aliens did not build the pyramids. Okay. Civ- the human civilization did not have the tools capable of building such a structure. We didn't have it. We didn't
And some
have
of
it.
those slabs are like tons and tons and tons. Like,
Tons.
how did people get that up? Like, okay, they had to build a gigantic ramp system, and then like somehow pull these stones that we could barely move today with our current technology,
Yeah, with
and like
machinery. Yeah.
cut them in a uniform fashion to where they all line up so well, and get them like, where did they even get all of the material for that? Like, yeah, it's funny you mentioned the pyramids, because in Stargate, they're doing a dig at the Great Pyramid, and they find this Stargate, and like that's the initial, like in the movie, that's the first kind of thing where they find the Stargate is at the pyramids, and then they
Mm.
transport to another galaxy, and then it's at a Great Pyramid at that place. And like the main alien is supposed to be what the Egyptians refer to as Ra, the sun god, and he's got this giant spaceship that like docks onto the pyramid, almost kind of like a charging station or like a parking spot almost. And
Wow.
there are theories with these weird chambers within the Great Pyramid that are kind of hidden, but very intricately designed to where there's these gases coming out from deep inside the Great Pyramid. So there's like speculation that there's a Stargate there, or that they were using the pyramids as some kind of like refueling, docking kind of station. But there's pyramids all over the earth.
Hmm.
Like, there's a giant pyramid in Antarctica. You
Really?
ever seen that thing? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's humongous. And there's a lot of weird kind of happenings that take place around it. Um, I mean, there's a lot of places like the Bermuda Triangle.
The
There's a lot in
Bermuda
like
Triangle is crazy to
pretty
me.
crazy, right? So there's a
That's
theory that like
insane to me.
aliens are still on Earth. They're just underground so that we can't see them. And whenever people like kind of get close enough to trip the alarm, people start disappearing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because there's two things I'll say about that. Number one, real quick, I got to say, shout out to Bob Lazar. How validated he must feel right now. If you don't know who Bob Lazar is, shame on you. But Robert Scott Lazar, okay, I like to call him Bobby because I'm friends with him. Uh, he's an American conspiracy theorist, which there's no conspiracy anymore. This thing's actually happening, folks. The Pentagon said so. Who claims to have been hired in the late 1980s to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. Um, so yeah, and he famously got let go by the company, and he also famously just had his entire past just wiped away, where he went to school, where he if he went to church, where he used to do his grocery shopping, his bank accounts, everything was just wiped off the planet, like he didn't exist, like he was in like he was invisible. It's pretty nuts. And you know, he obviously he's done a Rogan, and he talks all over the time, or all over the place, all the time
There's a
now.
Netflix doc on Bob Lazar.
There is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. But I had a pretty interesting story, and take it however you'd like. I still don't know what to make of it. I still don't know what to make of it, other than maybe just being lucky, which, if you know me, I'm a very unlucky person. It's a big reason why I do not gamble, because I used to shoot craps a lot, and I was pretty good at craps. But that's like when I was like in high school and like college, and it was for no money. You know, it's $5 max. You know, like I just not that guy. So
No idea how to play craps. I do hear that if you go to the casino, the best odds, if you play correctly, are through craps. My roommate in college tried to explain it to me, but it was way over my head. I'm a roulette guy or Texas Hold'em. Those are the only two things I do at the casino.
yeah, roulette for me, and then I just mingle. That's all I do. Yeah, I don't even win at roulette. So never been that guy. Never been that guy. But this is a story that I know you haven't heard. But when I was 9 years old, I was with my entire immediate family, and we were visiting my tia Gloria, who lived in New York. She lived near Manhattan, and this was my father's only other sibling that moved to the United States. And we visited her pretty often, and we're all walking in Manhattan, minus my dad. So my dad and his sister, my tia, they were hanging out doing their own thing. We wanted to get out and sightsee, so it was myself, my mother, my brother, and sister. Okay, so we were walking in Manhattan, and I mean the streets were just slam packed. I remember, especially being a kid, being very short at 9, and just everything just seemed so grand and just so huge. You know, I remember, it's kind of funny. I went back at like 16. I went back between 9 and 16, obviously, but I just, for some reason, when I went back at 16, it hit me, and I'm like, wow, like Times Square is actually not, like, it's not that big. Like,
Yeah.
it's really not that big at all. Like, whenever I go to Argentina, like Buenos Aires, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy down here as an adult. But when I go to Times Square, maybe it's because everything's so congested. I don't know, but I'm like, man, like the Empire State Building, it's really big, but like everything else is not really that big. It's just a lot of everything. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um,
I could definitely see how growing up in Kentucky, especially, that would be incredibly overwhelming, though, for a 9-year-old.
yeah, it was nuts. There was just so many people, and we did a decent amount of traveling, but that was definitely the first time that I'm just like, wow. So the way that we were walking, we were just walking down the streets, again, seeing sights and going into stores and things like that. It was my mom and I side by side, and my brother and sister, they were, I'd say, I like to, reference things in yards because I'm just a football junkie, right? So I'd say they're about 15 yards in front of us, walking in the same direction. Okay, so I'm like, and I can clearly see them, but it was still, the streets were packed. And so I said, "Hey, Mom, I see Rick and Maria right there." I said, "Can I run up to them real quick and walk with them?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." So within that small amount of time, I'm like, "Okay." Turn up. I start to like give it a slow jog up there to catch up with them. Within that short amount of time, they had their plans were unbeknownst to me. Okay, I had no idea that they were going to like an ATM or something. So in that short amount of time that I said okay and started to run towards them, they had went in to like a different store. Later I found out it was just like an ATM, but it was like one of those. It was like one of those like catty cornered ATM where you go in, it's all glass, and it's just like 15 ATMs. So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people in there, but that's all it is. Okay. So anyway, in that short amount of time, they had taken a right and gone in there. So as I'm little 9-year-old me, jogging up there to try to catch up with them, and I get to a point, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't see them at all. Like, what the heck? So I'm like, well, maybe they're up further. Like maybe I'm just going too slow. So then I go a little bit further, and I'm like, whoa, this is not good. So I turn around and I don't see my mom. I'm like, oh crap. So then I backtrack, and I get to like where I thought that I may have lost them. Don't see anyone. Look into all the store windows, look everywhere. And at this point, I mean, I'm 9-year-old me freaking out, lost in Manhattan. And I'm just like, Mom, Mom,
Oh man.
Mama. and I started to tear up. And I'll never forget it. This is when I realized, hey, these New Yorkers don't play around. They were like bumping into me. They're like, "Hey, kid, beat it!" Like get out of the way, kid, you stupid idiot. And I'm just like, "Mama, Mama, where are you? Rick, Maria, where are you?" So at this point, tears rolling down my face, and I'm freaking out, full like, "Oh my God, I just completely lost my family." And at this point, I'm almost at a crosswalk, but I'm like to the edge. I'm like right at the edge where like the street light would be. And this is where at this moment, whenever I told my family, because I didn't really tell my family the full extent as to like what went down until we got back to Lexington like days later. And at this point, we were right in the heart of Times Square. Okay. And it was wild because here I am, no one's given me any attention at all. Like everyone in Times Square at that point, 9-year-old kid alone, crying, screaming for his mom. No one gives a damn. Okay. No one gives a damn. So all of a sudden, and again, I'm short, but still, I'm under like this, like scaffolding, right? So I poke out. Now I'm at the corner, and then all of a sudden I hear, I hear this voice, and she's like, "Young child." Number one, who says young child? Who says young child? And it was this woman, and she said, "Young child, you're lost. Where is your family?" And what was weird about it, and I'm not exaggerating at all, and again, take it how you want it. Of course, I grew up in a very Catholic religious family. Okay, so when I told them this, they're all bawling their eyes out, and my dad's like translating in Spanish, to my family, and at this moment, this is when my mother and father brought up the fact that when I was a baby, I was actually blessed by Mother Teresa. Crazy fact.
What?
She came to Louisville, Kentucky, and this was in the 80s. Okay. And I mean, I think I was it was probably like 1988. All right. So I was like one or maybe, you know, anyway, she came to speak or do whatever.
Mother
And
Teresa world tour, get your tickets now.
burr, 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 burr. we're throwing out blessings. We're talking about God, Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. Come on out to Freedom Hall. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Fees will apply. The Giving Back Tour. Oh my God. I can't believe we took this story there. That's hilarious.
Oh, sorry, that's just the image I got when you were like, she came to Louisville. I was like, what? Is she doing a world tour?
Yeah. Yeah. Random, right? Totally random. So as my mom and dad told the story, there was all these people, you know, wanting to see her. And she said, first, I want to see all the children. So anyone who had a child, they automatically moved to the front. And she like individually saw each child and like said a blessing, touched my forehead, gave me a blessing. I was blessed by Mother Teresa. Crazy.
Very interesting.
I didn't find out until I was like, I don't even know. Like I always was told it, maybe like 5, 6 years old. It didn't carry any weight to a 5 or 6 year old. I had no idea, you know, about, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So anyway, but they had reminded me of that when I tell them this, because again, going back to the scene, I just stepped out under the scaffolding. Okay. Beautiful day out, by the way, in Times Square. And, I look up as this woman touches me on my shoulder and says that, you know, young child, you know, you're lost. You're like, where is your family? And this is, again, take it how you want it. This is all I remember. She was a UPS worker. So she had the full brown suit on, and it was a black woman, but I could only tell by her hand, because when I turned around and looked up, like, I shit you not, I could see the silhouette of her head, but the sun was so bright. And I mean, again, it could be just perfect timing. But when I looked up, it literally was just, the sun was just beaming, and all I could see was a silhouette of a head. Never saw her face. Didn't even try. I just accepted it. And she was like, I'll take care of you, is what she said. She said, I'll take care of you. Follow me. And I'm like, where are we going? She said, I'm going to get you to your parents. Everything will be okay. And I just instantly, number one, it's the first person that offered any help. But number two, I just felt totally safe. And I just felt like I could 100% trust this woman. And what she did is she took me by my hand and she led me to the police station that's right in the middle of Times Square. And another thing that's crazy is, again, I never saw this woman's face. And as she led me in, and I'm just like crying, you know, I don't even care to look up. I'm just being led, feeling safe. She says, go look out that window over there. Sit on that chair. Go look out the window. And if you see any of your family, yell at these officers. And I remember the only time I looked back is when I saw her walking toward the police. And when she goes in and tells the police officers what had happened, they did not care. They did not care at all. They're like, yeah, all right, lady, whatever. And I just remember turning back around, looking for my family. And on the way out, she said, be safe. You'll be just fine. You'll find your family very soon. What? Like, okay, I appreciate the words of encouragement, but like, what? And again, man, it's so bizarre because I believed everything she said. Like, it felt so certain. It felt final. She left. 5 seconds later, I see my brother and sister frantically just running up and down the street, screaming, like run up the same block. So I'm yelling at the officers. And then finally they're like, all right, what do you want, kid? What do you want? I was like, that's my brother. That's my sister. That's my mom. I'm like, Mom. You know, thinking they can hear me or something. So one of the officers, this big overweight dude, you know, piece of crap, He was just so nonchalant about it. It's like, come on, man. I was a kid. I was 9 years old. You kidding me? And it's not like my family meant to lose me. It was my fault to begin with. My family's awesome. So he hobbles on the crosswalk and, hey, lady, we've got your, people, we've got your kid. So then they come over, reunited with the family. Everything was all good. So again, it was just interesting because the only things that I really remember, and again, I was 9, but it seemed like she was 6'3", like extremely tall, extremely long-legged. Her hands and her fingers, it's like people who grow up as playing the piano. They have extremely like long fingers, because they're used to reaching, for the keys.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. I mean, I play a little piano and stuff, but I started super late. Well, anyone who's grown up, they usually have those fingers. So that's kind of like what it looked like to me. That's the logical explanation, was maybe she was a piano player. Maybe she just had long freaking fingers. But I just remember her hand was massive. She was massive, super tall, super lanky. Didn't have a package in her hand. She had a UPS uniform working or on. Okay. And again, never saw her face. Never once saw her face. Blinded by the light. So of course, they all, my family all thinks that I was, saved by an angel is what they think. I don't know what I think. I just know what I know and know what I experienced. But I thought it was interesting to share, and especially with all the alien talk of aliens being among us.
Right.
There's plenty of illustration that you can find of what people would assume aliens would look like. Some of them think they're like 4 foot tall. Some people think they're super tall and lanky. I don't know. Was it an alien? Was it an angel? Was it just the one good-hearted person in all of Times Square at that point? Was it just total coincidence? Probably total coincidence, and just a person being a nice person. It's probably what it was. But you don't really find a lot of those people in New York, especially during that time. I don't know. It was just really interesting. I'll never forget. I couldn't understand why. Like, my whole immediate family was like tearing up and like crying. Dad was freaking out. He was calling Argentina, telling them all about the story. I'm like, why is everyone? It is a pretty crazy story. Just because, I mean, I was freaked out. 9 years old, just lost in Times Square. My mom was so freaked out. She was just I saw it from afar, but she told me, again, people in New York, man, they don't care. She was so freaked out. She was running around with her purse like in one hand and her checkbook was in the other, open checkbook with a pen, running around like this, just frantic. And she said this one guy was like, "Put the checkbook up, lady. What are you, some kind of idiot? You'll get robbed here." Which is true. That's fact. Somebody could easily just whoop, thanks, and
Yeah,
dip
let me
out.
grab that real quick.
But pretty wild, huh? So
Yeah, wild indeed.
yeah, saved by a stranger, 9 years old.
So when you
In
were a kid,
Times
did you
Square.
think it was like an angel?
All I know is I felt something very off. Even thinking about it now, I mean, I go right back to that feeling. It was something that I'd never felt before, because growing up, I did not mess around with strangers. I did not like, nah, man, you need to get away from me. That was my
Right.
attitude. I'm like, I don't know you. You're not familiar. You're not from my neighborhood. Nope. Nope. Get away from me. That was always my approach to that. And I don't really mess with strangers anymore now, unless I'm working and I'm forced. Like, I don't get away, man. Like, you go your way, I'll go my way. I mind my own business. I do my own thing, and that's just how I like to live. But I just felt an instant sense of comfort, and I just felt like I just believed every word she was saying. Like, everything's going to be totally okay, and that's just weird. I almost felt like a warm feeling, just like, oh, thank God. Like, I just went from this high anxiety moment where I'm bawling my eyes out to where now I'm like, huh, Everything's gonna be okay. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna see my family again soon. Crazy. Who speaks like that? Young
Yeah, for
child.
real. Young
Young child.
child, come hither.
What? So odd. Working for UPS, and there's nothing against anyone that works for UPS. It's a great job, especially if you're like driving. It's an amazing job. Back in whatever that was, 1990, whatever. Come on.
So when did you like? So as of 2013, you still were a big time skeptic. Like what what kind of shed some light to revisit that story? Like when did you start to? Was it listening to Bob Lazar? Was it seeing these videos? Was it something before then?
It was a few years ago. I started just looking on YouTube and just searching online, and Bob Lazar kept on popping up, and I just read a lot about his background. I listened to a lot of interviews. You can tell like that guy's it's the same with the Navy pilot. His name is David Fravor, by the way.
Nice.
And obviously whenever he came out, just hearing both of them speak, knowing whenever you hear these guys speak, you know they're not trying to spread anything other than the facts and the truth, and they're just trying to tell people about their experiences. That's all these guys are trying to do. They're not trying to gain fame or anything like that.
But
And
one thing that was crazy to me wrapping up that story about when we were watching the movie on the Anasazi. Like I said, I mentioned it to Anne that there was an Ancient Aliens episode specifically on the Anasazi, and we went on Hulu, which has all of the seasons of that show and every episode, but they had removed that episode. And they had
what?
removed, it looks like they've removed a lot of the episodes on Hulu. Like you can't find them anywhere anymore. So I don't know if it was somebody got mad with like a copyright of a picture or something. I mean, I have no idea, but I'm thinking they might have gotten too close to the truth and some of those episodes got wiped.
You never know. I mean, what other explanation?
Yeah, I have no idea. I tried to Google why they removed certain episodes, and I have no idea why. So anybody has any information on what's going on there, definitely let me know. Also, if you have any potential alien encounter stories in your past, let us know. We'd love to hear. Comment below with your stories. Or if you think we're crazy, let us know at the same time as well.
Yeah, yeah. And this is one of the last things that I'll say on this. Now this was before Bob Lazar. I started reading about a man by the name of Boyd Bushman, and he worked for Lockheed Martin. Okay, and look this guy up, people, and look at the video. It should still be on YouTube. He had a deathbed confession. Okay, he had a hospital bed in his house. His assistant, friend, colleague, whatever this person is, their role was to help him make this video. And throughout the video, he goes on to say his role. He seems very coherent. He just seems he was old in age, and you could tell. I mean, he was about to just let go and pass, but he seemed very coherent still, very very level headed. It's not like he was loopy on a bunch of drugs that was trying to keep him alive or anything like that.
Right.
So throughout the video, he starts to pull out Polaroids of actual aliens, like actual aliens. He brings one up and he was like, yes, this is from this crash on this date. We recovered. It was already deceased when we arrived, but we recovered. It's at Area 51. You know, they're preserving, the body, blah, blah, blah. Here's a picture. Oh, here's another picture. Here's a picture of an alien aircraft that we recovered from another crash. And he's just showing these pictures. And I'm just like, okay, I remember the first time I watched him, like, what's going on here? They're like, what is going on?
I remember seeing that myself. I don't remember many details, but I also remember that there was a video that came out around the same time of a high-ranking Canadian military official who was
Hmm.
just coming out and being like, "Yeah, aliens are real. We've had contact with them, blah blah blah, yada yada yada," just like very matter of factly. And this was like
Hmm.
a very high-ranking official. I think it was in the Canadian military. If it wasn't the military, it was a government official. Um, there's some interesting stuff out there, man. Skinwalker Ranch, that's a fun one to look into. Chichen Itza, that's awesome. That's just mainly spectacular architecture that we don't really understand how something so magnificent could be created so long ago. Which there's probably
Hmm.
normal explanations for that, but that's just another site that's got a lot of lore to it. Obviously, Stonehenge.
Hmm.
Um, Oak Island. That's really an interesting place. It's I'll let you. There's a whole series on Oak Island, which some people think is like an ancient treasure hunters booby trapped treasure dwelling kind of thing. Some people think it's like the Ark of the Covenant is buried down there. I mean, obviously, crazy speculation all around, but
Yeah.
I think it's cool to investigate these kind of things and learn a little bit about history, different cultures throughout the world. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt. Um, but yeah, definitely a topic that I love to listen to and learn about. Yeah, I'll always be a big fan there.
Aliens are real, bro. Yeah. Same. It is very interesting. Really, Bob Lazar, man, it's like they just wiped all of his records off the planet.
It's wild.
And he even says this may be in the documentary where I mean he didn't think he was going to live because he had cars continuously following him, following his family. His every step of the way, everywhere he would go, he would see there were people following him, and it's like, geez, man, like I'm really surprised he's still living. It's interesting. It's the whole thing is just is so interesting, and now he's got more books out. I think he's building his own lab, if I remember correctly. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what else comes out that is really just validating everything he's been saying for years and years.
Yeah, it's
And
still crazy for me
he's
to
not
believe
crazy.
that the Pentagon has released the videos and backs up what the pilot was saying. And I never thought in my lifetime that our government would get close to even talking about aliens. But then for an admission that this is something it that we don't know what it is.
Right.
Um, that's pretty awesome to experience. And I hope we find out. I hope we find out more, because I mean, yeah, I think it's an inevitability that there's life out there. um you know could they have been here before? Could they be here currently? you know I don't know.
That's the crazy thing. It's like, are they here now? Is another crazy topic, but I totally believe it. I mean, we're very fortunate to be alive right now in a time where this news comes out. And it's interesting when I talk to people who are mainly more religious, but older people, when I'm talking about like 60 plus years old. And it's interesting because I kind of had like a different conversation. They're both similar in the way that I deliver it. Like I had a conversation with my mom. I'm like, how cheated do you feel by the American government? She's like, what? They told you they they brainwashed your generation into believing that marijuana was terrible. Like, I would be pissed if I was you. Pissed. Which now she's at the age and she could care less. She will
Right.
never, has never. So when I talk to other adults like that, some of them are like, well, hell yeah, I could have been smoking. But kind of like with aliens, it's like, how pissed are you guys? How if you're 65 right now, how pissed are you that your entire life all you've heard is, well, you're a crazy person if you believe that there's other life. And now the Pentagon of the United States of America is coming out and being like, yeah, we lied about that one. They're real.
What's what's your favorite movie regarding aliens?
The original Aliens is awesome. Sigourney
Alien.
Weaver,
Yeah.
Alien. Sorry. Um, yeah, that one was awesome, and I love the video game. That's a different story. Uh, I'd probably have to say Independence Day,
Okay.
right? I'd probably say Independence Day. That was a classic for me. That was such a classic. I remember seeing it in the movie theater. I think I saw it like twice in the movie theater. I loved it so much.
Okay.
Plus, that
That's
was a
probably
time too where Will Smith was like king at that time.
huge. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I was going to go along the Will Smith lines. I mean, I think I like Men in Black more than Independence Day. But I was going to take in a different direction. There's a movie called Fire in the Sky that
Hmm.
this guy believes he was abducted, and kind of loosely based on his quote true life events. It's really creepy. It's more like a serious kind of unsettling alien movie. I believe it came out in the 90s. Great one to check out. And then, obviously I love anything Star Trek. I've got got the Spock tattoo here. So, I'm a big Trek fan. Um, any of those movies I love. Anne's more of the Star Wars person. I see Star Wars as more of fantasy and Star Trek as more of science fiction.
Yeah. I don't really think Aliens when I think of Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well, but I don't really think Aliens. I could see where, yeah, I get it. But anyway, Signs
Yeah.
actually is another good one. That Signs is kind of a sleeper movie. I think
It
Mel
kind of
Gibson did a good
is,
job.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a classic.
yeah.
Yeah, I just go with any of this. I'm currently watching the Star Trek Enterprise series. I'd never seen that
Mm,
one before. It's like the first mission that the Starfleet has sent out. So it's about like the
mm,
beginnings of Starfleet and like the developing relationships with the Vulcans, and you know the start of them finding out like about the Klingons and the Cardassians and things like that. Um,
the
but
Kardashians.
yeah, yeah, no, there's a race called Cardassians in Star Trek, and it cracks me up every time knowing who the Kardashians are.
Right.
But yeah, I had only seen Next Gen and the original series and the movies, but I need to watch. I hear Deep Space Nine is really good. I want to check that out too. Didn't want to get too deep in the weeds on nerding out, but just wanted to see if you knew any good alien movies. I also love Alien vs Predator. I thought that was really. I turned out great. Predator, just in general. I mean, Predator's an alien, so I guess that's technically an alien movie.
I guess so. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Again, I mean, whenever
That
I
movie's
think
awesome.
that movie, the first one, oh my gosh, that
Yes.
movie is awesome.
You
You're
got
hit,
Schwarzenegger, you
you're
got Jesse the
bleeding.
Body.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you're hit, you're bleeding. I ain't got time to
I
bleed.
got Carl Weathers. Oh man, that's a great movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my goodness.
awesome, absolutely awesome. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, aliens are real. Hopefully, in our lifetime, we will see them. There's probably there may be some people out there that think we're crazy, but read the news, and I don't care what you think. I'll go with the Pentagon over your opinion. Um, but yeah, man, hopefully we could see him. I want to fly in an alien ship. That's what I want to do. I'm not one of those people. I'm like, take me, abduct me. No, I'm not one of that. I'm just like, dude, I want to ride shotgun in an alien aircraft. That's what I want to do.
Oh
with
man.
with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum.
Gotta have Jeff Goldblum there too. Yeah, for sure.
He cracked the code. I mean, come on, he cracked the code. You got to have him there.
Oh, what was the movie with I think Seth Rogen is in it and the guys from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah. Oh geez. This
Oh,
is
what is
the
that movie?
end. This is the end.
No, 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 no. This is an alien movie.
Alien movie.
Yeah,
I
what
thought that
is
technically was whenever the world's ending. Danny McBride and all them.
No, I mean,
This is.
yeah, I'm just thinking of a different movie. It's like a one Prometheus, that's a classic.
Yeah.
No, this is a comedy movie. It's got the guys from Shaun of the Dead, and they're like road tripping to go see Area 51 in their caravan or RV, and they end up encountering this little one of the Greys. Paul, that's what it's called. Have you ever seen Paul?
I was gonna say Ted, but I could actually see the cover. He's a little green alien, and they're like looking up. That's like the cover of the flick, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
Paul.
said Seth Rogen. I don't think he's even in that movie. Dude, that movie's classic. Oh my
I
goodness.
I need to see it. I never saw it. I never saw it.
Highly recommended. Oh my goodness, yeah. Paul. That just popped into my mind. I haven't seen that movie in years. Um, yeah, so give that a look. Let us know what your favorite alien movies are.